Hi everyone, this is Arad from Persian for All, and today in this lesson we're going to learn the sounds of the characters of the letters in Persian alphabet. In the previous lesson, if you haven't watched that one, if you haven't seen that one, you can click on this eye on this corner and you can go to that one first. In that lesson I taught you how to name them, what their names are. Okay, and now in this one we're going to learn the sound of the characters, how they sound like when we see them. To be able to read it, we need to know what the sounds are. Okay, so before we go to the letters themselves, I need to tell you about the vowels. Okay, in this script, in this writing system, we have three vowels, three short vowels that are not written. If we have the writing, the writing way, there are things like, you can see them over here, they get added to the alphabet and then they change the sound. Well, they are not mainly written because we already, when we start learning in the early stages, we'll write them down mainly, we do not miss them out. But when we move on, as we go along, we know what comes after this and what goes after that one. So we don't write them down, we're not bothered writing them down. So the first one is this one. That can come on top of each and any letter, okay? So then, and that gives a sound to that letter. If I have B, the B sound, when it comes on top, then it says, that changes it to ba, ba, okay? Or when it comes on P, change it to pa, pa, okay? So this is just like a forward slash, smaller than forward slash, and it just appears above the letter, okay? So we'll have some examples, don't worry. We need to know how they sound in this one, okay? Then on the next video we're going to practice on these things, so don't worry if it's just this is, let's say, an introduction to the sounds, okay? So this one is called a. When we see this one, we read it a, okay? Just like the same shape, the same thing. When this one appears just below the letter, under the letter, then that means e, short vowel e, okay? So if we have the b sound and we have the first one on, when we have this shape on top, we read it ba. Then we have this shape on the letter, we call it be. That adds a sound to the previous sound, whatever the sound was. So you add e. If it was pe, then you add e, pe. Okay, so that's the way it works. And then the third one, the o sound, the short o, is this one. And this one, just like a, appears on top. Okay, so two of them appear on top, a and o. And also e, which comes under, comes below the letter. Okay, so bear in mind we have these three, and just like English, we need some vowels between the consonants to join them. So we have these ones and three more which I'll show you, which I'll tell you afterwards. So we have these things. Sometimes they're not written, sometimes they're written. It depends which stage we're writing and reading. In the early stages we always write them, but as we move on, we know what comes where, and you will get that. That's not something that's only Persians or the native speakers know. No, that's something very easy that you'll get it, okay, as we move along. Okay, so now let's go to that 32 characters that we learned the previous lesson, and let's just see how they sound like, okay? We know the names, well, how do they sound like? So let's start with the first one. The first one was called Alif. Well, how do we say that? The first one is called a, a. So wherever we see the first one, we call it a. We read it a, okay? A, 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 like cup. The same sound in a in cup, okay? A, a, a. And then the second one is the one that takes those three vowels, okay? So the first one doesn't take vowels. You won't see a, e or o on the first one. The second one is the R sound. That is also R. When it is on its own, is R. But when it appears in the beginning of the sentence, or beginning of the word, when we have this one, that is the place of A, E, or O. Okay? So that takes A, and then that's not O anymore, that's A. So this thing, which is just like L, okay, lowercase l, this one is, when it takes that A, then that is not called O anymore, and doesn't sound like O anymore, and that is A. So depending on the short vowels that come with this one, it changes sound. If this one comes after a letter, like let's say B, okay, then that is called Ba, Ba. But if it comes in the beginning, if it's having that hat on, then that is called O and nothing else. But if it's on its own, then it should be either A, E, or O, depending which of those little vowels appear around it. Okay, so it can be A, B, O, B, or E, B, depending on the vowels that comes with it. Okay, so we will get this. It's a bit complicated when we're just talking about the sounds, but when we have the examples, it will be super easy. Don't worry about it. So we just know that this one sounds like O. Okay, so that is enough for this stage. If you haven't got the other bits, don't worry. We'll get that. The other ones are much easier. So let's go to the other one.